there, Black Sheep. Welcome back to the channel, and this week's episode of This Bites, the series in which we analyze Watchtower literature and propaganda and highlight how it implements the bite model. If you're unfamiliar with the bite model, it's the go-to method used to identify extreme control groups and cults, and the methods that they used to coerce, recruit, and maintain control of their members. This weekend at a Kingdom Hall near you, Jehovah's Witnesses will be discussing article number 18 of the May 2024 Watchtower Study Edition. The article is entitled, Trust in the Merciful Judge of All the Earth. In this article, Jehovah's Witnesses will learn that Jehovah extends mercy and forgiveness to murderers and rapists, but not apostates like myself, someone who realized the governing body isn't backed by Jehovah or any god and decided to leave a man-led religion. Absolutely not. Again, murder and rape, forgivable. Apostasy, punishable by eternal death. Paragraph 1 asks the question, will you really sweep away the righteous and the wicked? Paragraph 2 uses a thought fallacy. It asks the question, how can we be sure that Jehovah's acts of judgment are righteous and merciful? Because we know that Jehovah sees into the heart of people. That is an amazing truth. How do we know Jehovah reads hearts? Because he says so, and that's it. That's an amazing truth. Accept it. The thought fallacy being used here is called begging the claim or begging the question. Thought fallacies are common errors in reasoning that will undermine logic by means of illegitimate arguments or irrelevant points. The question they ask in this paragraph presumes the answer. The answer could only be that you know Jehovah is righteous and merciful. Begging the claim is defined as the conclusion that the writer should prove is validated within the claim, or the opinion to be proved is given as if it were already proved. This is also thought control. Thought control require members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth, adopting the group's map of reality as reality. Thought control forbid critical questions about leader, doctrine, or policy allowed. Proof or no proof, this is the reality that the governing body has decided on, and it's not to be challenged. Personally, even as a fully believing Jehovah's Witness, I did question this exact thing. I couldn't accept that if God could read hearts, that he wouldn't find good in the heart of my LGBTQ worldly family and friends. There was no way my merciful God could see two people who love each other and mark them for destruction. Paragraphs 3 and 4 bring up the new light, or amended doctrine, that happened last year at the 2023 annual meeting for Jehovah's Witnesses, in a short infographic narrated by Garrett Loesch. Is there any future hope for such people as those judged in Sodom and Gomorrah? Might any of them be included in the resurrection of the unrighteous? Recently, we received a clarified understanding of the resurrection of life and the resurrection of judgment. This clarification has led to further adjustments. New light is information control. Information control compartmentalize information control. Compartmentalize information into outsider versus insider doctrines. Ensure that information is not freely accessible. Control information at different levels and missions within the group. Allow only leadership to decide who needs to know what and when. So after releasing this new light at the 2023 convention, Jehovah's Witnesses are finally getting further clarification on it. Linked below is a podcast from another former Jehovah's Witness. His discussion on New Light is very easy to understand, especially for those just learning to use their critical thinking muscles. So, as paragraph 4 says, let's speculate. Let's consider what we do not know and what we do know. Individual Jehovah's Witnesses are told not to speculate, but this entire article is in fact speculation.
Also, some Bible accounts raise questions because not all the details are spelled out in the Scriptures. Thus, we cannot find immediate answers to every question that arises. In such a case, we should avoid speculating about things that simply cannot be answered, lest we get involved in debating questions for research rather than a dispensing of anything by God in connection with faith.
Paragraph 4 has a footnote telling you to look at another watchtower. And this is information control. Information control. Extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, including newsletters, magazines, journals, audio tapes, videotapes, YouTube, movies, and other media. First subheading, what we do not know. Paragraphs 5 through 8 talk about what we don't know. They reference all the people Jehovah mercifully killed, or put to death righteously. Paragraph 6 mentions the 185,000 Assyrians murdered in one night by God's angel. Paragraph 7 mentions those killed during the flood that God sent in Noah's time. And paragraph 8 mentions the people of Sodom and Gomorrah again. Paragraph 6 asks the question, does the Bible give us enough information to determine that Jehovah sentenced all those individuals to eternal destruction with no hope of a resurrection? So, what are they really asking? Are they doubting that the Bible has the sufficient information? Are they questioning if enough information was provided? They don't believe God can make a mistake. So, why question that those God put to death if he, really meant it or not? Yeah, at the time, this lady and her baby absolutely had to die. But, not eternally or anything. God killing all those Assyrians in one night, it's basically like a timeout. Killing them in one night. But just for now, not for realsies. Remember, Jehovah's love language is murder. So to Noah, Lot, and Hezekiah, this was like God giving them a big ol' hug and back pat of approval. Paragraph 8 is where the Watchtower says, recall that a crowd of men in that city, Sodom and Gomorrah, sought to rape Lot's guests, from boy to old man. It then asks, do we really know that the merciful God, Jehovah, condemned each one to death with no hope of a resurrection? Can we say for certain that none of them will rise in the resurrection of the unrighteous? So, if you thought I was exaggerating about the rapist thing, here you go. Also, the resurrection of these men will be into Jehovah's Witnesses' long-awaited paradise. Anywhere rapists get a second chance at happy lives does not sound like paradise to me. Paragraph 9 quotes Romans 6:7. The one who has died has been acquitted from sin. And it says that some may reason that because they've died, they've paid for their sins, just like the scripture says. Some may reason. Watchtower inserts his own understanding. It says, true, but this does not mean that all who have died will be resurrected. Just stop it. Stop reasoning. The scripture just said that those who died paid for their sins, and they're saying, Yes, but also what we're saying is the truth. Did you catch that? Thought control. Rejection of rational analysis, critical thinking, constructive criticism. Emotional control. Promote feelings of guilt or unworthiness, such as your thoughts, feelings, actions are irrelevant or selfish. Behavior control. Discourage individualism, encourage groupthink. Don't reason, just listen to what the Watchtower has to tell you, because only the governing body can interpret what the scriptures are actually trying to tell you. Subheading 2. What we do know. Paragraph 10, the congregation will read Ezekiel 33:11, which says that Jehovah takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked. 2 Peter 3:9 also says that Jehovah does not desire anyone to be destroyed. So, what about all those people we just talked about? The Assyrians, the people in Sodom and Gomorrah, the Noah's flood, and the 8 billion non-Jehovah's Witnesses who would be killed or fireballed to death in Armageddon? If Jehovah doesn't want anyone to be destroyed, and he takes no pleasure in smiting them, maybe stop murdering people then? If you dislike it so much? Paragraph 11 says there are some people unworthy of a second chance. It has examples in the footnote. Adam, Eve, Cain, and tells you to read another Watchtower. Again, this is information control. Extensive use of cult-generated information and propaganda, including newsletters, magazines, journals, audio tapes, videotapes, YouTube, movies, and other media. It also includes that Paul warned that unrepentant apostates would not be resurrected. In contrast, paragraph 12 says that King David is worthy of Jehovah's mercy, even though he committed serious, gross sins, including adultery and murder. David repented, so Jehovah mercifully forgave him. To review, to be clear on this, resurrection to life is a gift that Jehovah bestows on rapists and murderers, but not Eve, who ate a fruit, or myself, because I don't believe in these guys. The paragraph goes on to say, Jehovah shows mercy whenever he sees that there is a basis for doing so. It then shows an illustration of a Jehovah's Witness in their prized paradise teaching their beliefs to, presumably a group of criminals, murderers, and rapists. Paragraph 13 and 14 bring up the Ninevites, another group smited by Jehovah for being wicked and evil, but according to this article, they'll probably get a pass into paradise too.
It's kind of like going on an airplane. What would happen if someone wanted to bring something on the plane that wasn't allowed?
They couldn't go on the trip.
Right. It's the same with Jehovah. He wants us to be his friend and live in paradise forever. But we have to follow his standards to get there. At Matthew 7:13 and 14, it talks about the road leading to paradise. To get there, Jehovah says we have to leave some things behind. That means anything Jehovah doesn't approve of.
Paragraph 14 says that all of these violent criminals will have a chance to be observed by Jesus, and that those who choose to worship Jehovah faithfully, their judgment will be favorable. They will have the prospect of living forever. Rewards and punishments used to modify behaviors, both positive and negative. Emotional control. Instill fear, such as fear of thinking independently, the outside world, enemies, losing one's salvation, leaving or being shunned by the group. Paragraph 15 talks again about how Sodom and Gomorrah sinners have a better chance of surviving Judgment Day than people who don't accept Jesus' teachings, as interpreted by the governing body. It also randomly decides to give the definition of a word. It says Jesus was using hyperbole on this occasion. The footnote then defines the word hyperbole? No bite model here, just genuinely confused on why they did this. Like, did they assume the average everyday Jehovah's Witness doesn't know this word? And why, of all the words in the article, did they decide to define this one? What is going on here? Paragraph 16 and the discussion box on this page just reiterate that they don't know who is going to actually be resurrected or not. Again, the entire article is speculation. Subheading 3. The judge of the earth will do what is right. Paragraph 17 jam-packs core major Jehovah's Witness doctrines in just a few sentences. The 144,000, paradise, the resurrection, the millennial reign. If you want to look further into any of these things, I'll have links in the description for some sources that discuss the doctrines in depth. I will not be doing that. Thought control. Require members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth, adopting the group's map of reality as reality. Instill black and white thinking. Decide between good versus evil. Organize people into us versus them. Insiders versus outsiders. In paragraph 17 says that those who practiced vile things will be given an opportunity to change their ways and become faithful. Vile things. Paragraphs 18 and 19 say that Jehovah is the perfect, all-wise, merciful judge of the earth, and you should be determined to trust that he knows best. It also says that we're not qualified to judge and to leave all the judging to him. So, this entire article, in new light about the resurrection, pure speculation, because just like the last paragraph says, they can't do the judging. So, why even have this conversation? That brings us to the end of the article, so let's tally up the score. We have 2 for behavior control, 3 for information control, 4 for thought control, and 2 for emotional control. That gives us a total score of 2,342, a number just as important to Jehovah as the lives of those 185,000 Assyrians who died in one night because of him. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Please give this video a like. It helps the information get out to more people. And leave a comment because I love hearing from you and I always do my best to respond. Continue thinking freely, Black Sheep.